Oh my goodness. That episode, I'm a huge I Love Lucy fan, so I can't imagine what it was like being in it, but it just brought me so much joy today. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
I'm so glad. I love Lucy also, and it brought us so much joy to do it.
I
It was
mean,
amazing.
so now that people have seen it, they've now seen more than just that Instagram photo that you posted where you look exactly like Lucille Ball. What was it like when you saw yourself in the mirror for the first time?
Well, it took 3.5 hours to get there. Um, she put Elmer's glue over my eyebrows so that she could draw it up, and then the lips took like 45 minutes. But when the wig went on, all of us just went and it was kind of like a big present that you just kept opening boxes and getting and pulling out and pulling out, and then all of a sudden it just appears. It kind of was like that, like all of a sudden we saw her coming to life in the mirror.
I mean, everybody in the comments, or they're all saying you totally embodied Lucy. You look just like Lucy. I mean, that must have been an amazing moment because I know you're a huge fan too, to like get
Yeah,
to work off of the real scripts. You guys were really, really detailed.
those were word for word, and it was shot for shot. So and that bottle that I held for the Vitamita Vegemin was the exact bottle that Lucy held.
Oh my gosh.
That bottle had been in storage for 60 years, and our propsman was able to get it. And when he
Wow.
told me it was her bottle, I just broke into tears.
Absolutely. I feel like I would have cried a lot if that was me. I would have been like, I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the thing I saw on TV.
Yeah, I was weepy for 3 straight days, and I think, and then having Lucy Arnaz there, and her hugging me and calling me mom.
Yeah.
It was really moving.
Tell me about that because this all came about because Lucy Arnaz gave you guys permission to do this episode. So having her there and having her as part of it, what did that mean to you? And what were those interactions like, especially the first time she saw you looking
Oh,
like Lucy?
oh, it meant everything because she and her brother had never given anybody the permission to replicate any of the scenes from I Love Lucy before. We were the first people ever to do it. And so when we were told that she was giving us permission, we were so overwhelmed with gratitude and just knowing just how much faith she had in us. It meant the world. And then when she showed up, and she just had a smile on her face the whole time, and then to act with her in the chocolate factory scene,
Yes.
I thought my head was going to explode.
Well, you said just a second ago she called you mom. When was
Yeah,
that?
it was the first time she saw me. I was in the green dress. We were about to shoot the song and dance, and she walked in, and she just looked at me and didn't say anything, and then she hugged me, and she said, "This feels really good. It's been a long time since I've hugged you."
Oh,
And everyone started to cry. And then she smiled and she said, "I know how long you've been wanting to do this, Debra, and I'm so glad we were able to make it happen." And then I had to go. And so I said, "So I'm gonna go to the stage." And as I walked away, she said, "Break a leg, Mom."
oh my
And
gosh.
everybody just flipped out and cried.
Yeah.
It was really moving.
That's a really emotional thing to hear and then to now have to go act and to be fulfilling this lifelong dream. This is so cool. I'm sure people have told you for years, you look like Lucy. Did you ever imagine that something like this could work out?
Oh, never. Never. I mean, like 15 years ago, people would say, "Hey, do you want to do like a made for TV movie or something?" And I always felt like, "Oh, I would not even touch that. Like she is untouchable." But you know, the fact that it was Will and Grace doing it, and us being able to play different parts, like, it just felt like the perfect way to be able to do it.
Absolutely. This is such a cool tribute. It's a way that you guys are kind of saying goodbye, but also paying homage to a show that kind of paved the way for Will and Grace. This is your second time saying goodbye, of course. So
Yeah.
what has that been like? Goodbye, take two.
You know, we said goodbye in December, and next week is our final episode. And it was very different than the first time. The first time felt traumatic, and like a mourning. Um, but because the 12 years happened in between, and we all went off and did other really exciting things, and we came back to it happy, and it all just felt like just like a miracle and just
Yeah.
like icing on the cake. And I think that all of us, felt like it's time.
Yeah.
And the way that they wrap up the series, it's not 25 years in the future, it's in real
Okay.
time. And I think it's done beautifully. I really think that the fans will be really happy with the way the four characters are sent off into the future.
Yeah. Oh, well, I can't wait for that. Just another emotional episode for us, but in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
I love in the comments, people are like, oh, I'm just going to cry remembering that this is ending next week. And
Yeah.
it's been quite a journey. But I want to go back to what you were talking about with the transformation. You said it took 3 hours to do. What was in those 3 hours?
Well, it took probably a half hour alone just to get my eyebrows covered. There, we learned that there's a famous drag queen trick, and you layer up Elmer's glue stick, and then
Yes.
powder, and then more Elmer's, then more powder, then more Elmer's, then more powder, and then you start to draw on the ones she had. And
Yeah.
her eyebrows and her lips are so identifiable that when it was off, it was very clearly off. And
Mm-hmm.
so, it was painstaking. Um, and then playing Fred,
Yeah.
that took 4.5 hours
Oh, wow.
to get that skull cap on. And it was the team behind uh Star Wars.
Wait, the team behind Star Wars turned you into Fred.
Yes.
That is so cool.
Yes, they came in and they were serious. And like, I mean, they were two working on me at the same time, and they obviously had to do it 3 different days,
Yeah.
for each one of us. But it was, they literally would like glue one hair on at a time.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
I guess I'm not going to complain about trying to put on my own lashes anymore because it's going
No,
to be harder.
no.
That's really amazing. I mean, you guys all got a chance to be all of the different characters, especially getting to be Ethel in the chocolate factory moment. A lot of people forget Ethel gets to do a lot in those scenes when you're, packing those chocolates in. And that's,
Yeah.
of course, the scene where you're working with Lucy Arnaz, too. So what was
Yes.
that like acting opposite her?
Oh my God, it was so fun. I mean, it was crazy, because part of me just felt like, oh my God, we've got to get this right. Lucy is here. We can't blow this. And, the other part of me was like, I get to play with Lucy Arnaz, and Lucy Arnaz is so excited to like be doing this with us. It was just a really happy time, and it was really fun to do it with Sean. And to be able to play Ethel, the drier version, it was really fun.
One of our Twitter commenters, Edward Sanchez, actually asked what your favorite moment of the episode was.
um I think it was in the Vitamita Vegemin scene, and I think it was just as Lucy starts to get drunk.
Yes. The first time, like, she slips one of the words and
Yes.
realizes it.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, what was it like having to recreate those facial expressions, too? Did you watch it, and try and do it in the mirror? How did you make that work?
I only had a week to prepare it. And so I was very scared. And and she means so much to me, and I just didn't want to blow it. So I just watched it over, and I mean, I had to have watched it 100 times, just analyzing, her eyebrow lift and her head tilt, and her lip, like when something, and to clock exactly when she would start to get drunk. And then when we were on the set, I would listen to it in my ear, and so I would just focus on the musicality of it, of her voice. And it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, for sure.
Totally. I mean, people in the comments are like, wow, only a week. And I agree. That's not a lot of time. But in a way, you also had like your entire life to prepare for this moment.
That's right.
I mean, someone just asked, did Lucy give you anything as a memento, meaning Lucy Arnaz?
No.
This moment's kind of memento enough, I assume.
That would have been great. Yeah.
I think her love and her admiration, and she posted this great thing earlier today, with you and the audience. How freaked out was the audience realizing that they were getting to be there for the Lucy episode?
Oh, they freaked out. They freaked out when we walked out in our costumes. They had no idea what was happening. And then they were just so happy because they knew it was a once in a lifetime thing, that it was a special, it was a special episode.
I mean, special doesn't even begin to describe, like, I would have probably fainted. I love your pups in the background. Mine is sitting here next to me.
That's my dog.
This is the first time we've done a live that I haven't had to put her in, like, the bathroom. So I feel you. This episode, we've talked about how much you love Lucy and how much, we all love Lucy. But what do you hope that this episode means to the fans? I mean, people in the comments are saying this episode will be listed as iconic. How does this add to the legacy for Will and Grace?
Well, I'm really, really proud of it. It is something that only the four of us have ever been able to experience and have been entrusted with it. And it obviously, it's my favorite episode we've ever done, and it's something I will never ever forget, ever.
Yeah, I mean, I truly, as far as memories go, we had another Twitter user, Santa Bria, ask, what is your dearest memory that you'll take from the show? So I guess I should ask you, your dearest memory you'll take from the show other than this one.
I think my favorite episode besides that was the one where the two-parter where we go back into the 80s, where you meet Will and Grace when they get engaged, and then he comes out as gay. I think that was my favorite.
Oh yeah, that episode is, you guys, 11 seasons, what is the number, right, 246 episodes? This is, it's pretty incredible to get to be a part of this, and like you said, to be a part of this a second time. And by the way, I don't normally dress up like this all the time. This is just for Lucy.
Thank you.
Of course. How are you doing? Of course, we are still, like, the other great part about tonight is tonight was a nice release for people. We're all staying at home, sheltering at home.
Yeah.
So it's also that. It's that.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to give something, that people could look forward to, and a really good distraction, because it really does remind you of a happier, simpler time,
Yeah. And I know you're doing something really amazing this weekend. You're part of the Passover Seder.
Yes, we're raising money for the people most hurt by this horrible crisis. But we're going to be funny, and there's amazing people involved, and I hope everyone who is on this feed will watch Saturday night at 8. I think it'll be worth watching.
Absolutely. You guys, it's quite the lineup. We had a couple of questions from fans, so I wanted to ask a couple of them. We have this one from Dan asking, do you remember the first I Love Lucy episode you ever watched?
Wow. You know, Dan, I don't. I was so young. You know, my parents told me later that, you know, they would just hear me giggling all the time. Like they had it on from the time I was very young. So I don't remember the first one.
I can't remember my first either because I remember I watched it all of the time. And I
Yeah.
was trying to remember my favorite. I think my favorite might have been when she had the first baby
Yeah.
and Ricky accidentally forgot her and
Yeah.
had to come
Yeah.
back for her.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Another question we had from a fan was Andy asked, what's your favorite moment with Billy Lord on set? That was a very cool moment you
Oh,
guys had.
um, it was when she and I were sitting on the couch, and we were shooting a little part of the scene, and we realized that in between us, you know, uh, right on the desk behind us was a picture of Debbie Reynolds and me. And she said, you know, "Hi, Grandma." And
Oh,
it was incredibly moving. It was sad, but it was beautiful.
yeah. I mean, that the way this show, I don't know, I feel like the way that this show has lasted and impacted us all in different parts of our lives, it's kind of the beautiful part of the fact that you guys have been a part of, TV history for so many really fun years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last question from one of our fans. Okay. Okay, maybe I don't know how to do questions anymore. Welcome to me learning how to do this on the spot.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you for sticking in there with me because this is a hard part. Um, oh, I'm sure you've figured this out by now, but
There it
how do
is.
you how do you keep from laughing when you have to be serious and they say love you?
Oh my gosh. It's hard. It's hard. And that's one of the great things about shooting Will and Grace is that, you know, videotape. So we could go back and do it a couple of times so that we don't break and laugh. But you know, that was part of the one of the greatest parts of the job was that you laughed so much all the time.
Was there any moment that you particularly broke during this episode?
Yes, when I was Fred.
I can imagine that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we loved getting to see this episode. We loved getting to, get a little bit on the road. See, mine is excitable too. It's not just you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course. And I wanted to ask you too, because seeing as Will and Grace is wrapping up, if there was ever a tribute episode to you guys, who would you want to play you?
Oh, Amy Adams.
Ooh, yes. That's a perfect casting. We're
You
gonna have
like
to.
that?
I love that.
All
Anything
right.
where we can get all the redheads together, that's kind of the best way that you can have this happen. Well, Debra, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who's been watching with us.
Thanks for
And
watching.
all right, get back to, living with your pups. We appreciate you. Oh, what have you been watching while you have been at home?
I was watching I Love Lucy.
Well, not just,
But I've got to go because look what's waiting for me.
oh, oh my gosh. Where's your pizza from?
I got to go.
Bye.
Bye.